normally it's so easy for us to, get away from something bad, something harmful. So when God asks us to come out of something harmful or not take a certain route because he thinks it's harmful for us, and we know that it's harmful, then it's usually the easier route, because you're like, anyway, it harms me or the people I love, or the people around me. But do you realize that it takes a deep level of love and trust in God for you to actually walk out of something that is beautiful? Like when Paul was talking to Corinthians, the church in Corinth, he was telling them in his letter in First Corinthians, like, some things are good, but they're not good for you. Now recently I'm beginning to really understand that scripture, because sometimes you're like, okay, God, what do you mean I shouldn't take this route? What do you mean I shouldn't be with this person? What do you mean I shouldn't do this? What do you mean I shouldn't eat this type of food? The food is nice, the food is sweet, the person is good, like all those choices that you have. The job is beautiful, it's lucrative, it pays well, it has good, perks, and God whispers to you like, no. And now that makes us understand slavery. Like, if you're a slave to something, then it has control over you. See, when you're not a child of God, then so many other things can have control over you. Your body can control you, your surrounding can control you, and then now you're a slave to those things. Now, when we give our lives to Jesus, we become slaves to God, slaves to Jesus. And now, at the point where we are getting salvation, is at the point where we give up our rights to control our own narrative and give it to him. So when he says that do not do certain thing, do not be here, do not be with this person, do not take up this opportunity, do not do this, it's at that point that you remember you're a slave to him, and what he says is actually final. Because a bad thing is easy, but when it's a good thing in your eyes, in your imagination, in your own understanding, then that's where it really takes a level of depth of love for him, for you to say, God, I do not know what is on the other side. I do not understand why you can't allow me to take this opportunity. I do not understand why you can't allow me to be with this person. But God, I am not doing it because you said no. It's a no to me. Because always down the road, God will always prove that he was right about something that you, in your short-sightedness, you couldn't see at the point where you're being told no. You threw tantrums and all that, but down the road, it now makes sense. Oh my God, this is what God really wanted out of me. This is what God really meant. And so for us as people inside the kingdom of light, we are not of ourselves. We were bought with Jesus by his blood, and so he is our master. We are his slaves. And so if he says no to something, no matter how good it is in our eyes, is a no to us as well, because always he will prove that it was actually good for us not to do, not to be in that space where he said no.